Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the Monday, May 6th, 2024 Town Work Session for the Town of Forest Heights. The time is now 7:31 and this meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Noble,
Here.
Councilmember Hines, Councilmember Kennedy, Councilmember Browson,
Here.
Councilmember Little,
Present.
Council President McDonald,
Here.
Mayor Lilly.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we will have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Next, we'll have approval of the agenda. I would like to offer an amendment to the agenda to move the youth and community report presentation in our department reports tonight to the first item. Mr. Holland has to leave early this evening. So I move that we amend tonight's agenda, moving youth and community to the first item under department reports. Are there any further amendments? Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend tonight's agenda, moving the Youth and Community Outreach Bureau to the first item under department reports. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. I move that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we will now have the Youth and Community Outreach Bureau report. Mr. Holland, if you could just give a 1-minute highlight of notable items from your report, sir.
Yes.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Council. I just want to say today is my last day of my 15-week term at PGCC, so I'm trying to make sure I triple check my work and submit that tonight. So that's my reason for having to leave early tonight. The last day of the term. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the last day of the Prince George Community College 15-week term.
Oh.
And school, yeah, I'm sorry, school, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize. You know, the town celebrated the 75th anniversary in April. It was great to see some of the schools participate, as well as us bringing in some outside sources to bring some entertainment. Specifically, I wanted to speak to Sanaya. She was super excited to be able to meet everyone from the council. She said she felt really important that night. So we just wanted to, again, just thank Sanaya for her time, and also the elementary schools who helped with the time capsule. Really quickly, the 988 campaign is rolling out. I was speaking with Council President McDonald about the Can We Talk Symposium. It's a mental health symposium happening May 31st at the Gaylord at National Harbor. It'll be an all-day course from 10 a.m. To 8 p.m. It is being put on by the Boris L. Henson Foundation, which is Taraji P. Henson's mental health foundation. So we're super excited to have some of the local high school students being involved with that symposium. A nonprofit Improve Your Tomorrow, they invited youth community leaders out to their headquarters to see their model for a youth mentorship program that goes from elementary school all the way through college. They were talking with us about how these programs are implemented. and the type of data that they're seeing when it comes to college acceptances and grade performance, as well as homeschool balance. So that was great to be able to take a look at that. And then I did want to say that this is the last month for any graduating seniors to apply for the financial aid or the scholarships through the Jones House organization. Again, we have a scholarship named after our very own Councilwoman Noble for the public service scholarship. So that can be accessed through joneshouseinc.org/youth development. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Are there any questions for the Youth and Community Bureau report? Councilmember Brownson.
I have a question about the symposium on the 31st. Is Oxon Hill High or any of the it's just for high school students? And if so, is it free, open to the public?
Yes, ma'am. So the 988 campaign is only open to high school students. However, the symposium is open to the public. There are tickets for purchase. I believe they're $30, and they can be purchased through the Boris L. Henson Foundation website.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the Youth and Community Bureau report this evening? Well, thank you, Mr. Holland, for your report and for assisting us with having Forest Heights Elementary and Flintstone contribute to our 75th anniversary weekend of events. We hope that you have a successful term end at PGCC. And
I can let you know that once my grades come in, but
okay.
It's been fun, but it's been fun.
One question just came to me. Do we have any students or folks identified to go to that symposium?
Yes, we have Oxon Hill. We have a few students. Do you mean from the council?
From the town?
So we have council president, and you have a colleague that is chaperoning as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just want to share it with our youth ambassador, Mr. Cashwell, who might be a good candidate since he's at Oxon Hill High and representing the town youth.
Okay, I meet with Christopher Powell at Oxon Hill this week. I can ask him because he has a list of the students. I'll make sure that our ambassador is on that list.
Okay, very well. Thank you, Mr. Holland. You're excused. Next, we'll have the Department of Public Works. And Mr. Belnavis, do you have I'm sorry. My apologies. We'll have the treasurers, Mr. Frankenfield, online.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for your report this month. Do you have a 1-minute highlight of notable items for council and the community this month?
Yeah, definitely. Been a busy month. Most of our activities were around prepping the 25 budget.
Just one moment, Mr. Frankenfield. We're going to make sure we have the sound in the auditorium where we can hear you properly. Just one moment. Okay, you can continue.
Yeah, April was a pretty busy month. A lot of it was drafting 25's budget, determining next steps on our 24 tax rates, finance committee meeting. We wrapped up the Mission Square reconciliation and the transfer of that to the retirement vendor. And the rest we addressed in the report as far as other tasks. Started the 22 audit as the other notable item in April. Any questions?
Councilmember Brownson?
Yes, you said, well, in your report, you stated various grants, reconciliation and reporting. Do you have a number of grants that we have that you have reconciled and done
Yeah.
reports for?
So we worked through the county's youth and beautification grant. ARPA reporting was due at the end of April. We worked with the program manager on that. Worked on the COPS grant, and we started conversations about the DHCD CRE Drive grant. So I believe that totals 5 or 6.
Okay. And one other question. You said you reconciled the town retirement and contributions, transferred all FY 24 contributions and FY 23 contributions are reconciled. So you reconcile the 23 FY 23 and put it in the 24 budget, then reconcile the 24 budget. You broke those up.
That's correct. So we split it out. I think the contribution stopped middle of May of 23. So there was a small portion that we accrued to fiscal year 23's budget, and then the remainder of it went through fiscal year 24's budget.
Okay. And so last meeting, you put in I think we approved a resolution to give them the interest that they would have accrued if we had put the money in on time. Did we go back and reconcile that as well?
So next steps, my takeaway from that meeting is we needed to prepare legislation for that interest, present it to the body, get approval, and then make the transfer. And with the other deliverables over the last couple weeks, we hadn't gotten to that legislation yet.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Noble.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for the draft of the budget. But it was a lot of questions on that draft. Are we planning, I don't know, on the finance committee meeting to discuss the budget, or when will we see a final budget? So that's kind of two-part.
Did you catch that question, Todd?
Yeah, I think, and Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong on the timing of this, we're going to present the budget ordinance at the meeting on the 15th. And after that, prep the budget book during the month of June for presentation to the group.
We have a budget hearing that's going to be scheduled for May 22nd. The budget ordinance comes on May 15th. But the draft budget, am I incorrect in thinking that the draft budget for FY 25 was sent out, the newest one?
Yeah, but stuff that we discussed, we want to talk about changing.
Okay. There's a public hearing for the rate for tax rates, and then the budget hearing will be the 22nd. So let's consider adding under new business to discuss some of those items that need to be changed in the budget so we can get a newer draft sent out before the next meeting. So once the ordinance comes, council will be aware of what items have been updated and what items are in the budget. So, Mr. Frankenfield, the question here was just, will it be a newer draft with some of the changes that were discussed from finance? And you can update the draft, but it's not the actual ordinance for council to look over line items and consider, correct?
Oh, yes. No, I understand the question now. Yes, so I sent around the electronic version of the budget, and that reflected the changes that we talked about in the finance committee meeting.
Just
Councilmember Noble.
just one question. I know we talked about the sale of something, but on this budget, the last proposal, it says appropriated for new property purchase. I don't remember us discussing a new property purchase.
Yeah,
So can you elaborate a little?
I think that's the version that we had for the finance committee meeting. And then, based on our changes we talked about in the finance committee meeting, we said, okay, you know what? We don't feel like selling the properties, our best path forward. We're going to fund the budget deficit from fund balance. So I made those changes and shared an electronic version. I think you have the old version in front of you is what I'm saying.
Okay. Right, Ways and Means, right. Well, Finance, Ways and Means, right.
Yep,
Thank you,
yep,
thank you.
yep.
So just to clarify, the new draft budget would not include sale of 5529 count or factored in. It would include balancing the budget without that being an item to add in. Okay, well, oh, so you're going to publish a report, Councilmember Brownson, about the discussion items? Okay, and we'll have that next meeting?
Well, I'm gonna give it to you tonight in my report.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Are there any other questions? Mr. Best?
So, Todd, is it safe to assume that the budget ordinance will be approved in June at the Wednesday meeting in June, and it will be an emergency ordinance? As is custom of the town.
So what we have to finalize is we have to get back to the county with tax rates. They asked for it by May 25th, and they say no tax rate changes are allowed later than May 31st. So we have always been trying to get the entire budget adopted in May. If we cannot, we still have to finalize tax rates in May and then finalize the remaining lines of the budget thereafter.
So does that mean if you're trying to appease the county on May 25th, you give them tentative tax rates, but you've yet to go through the process and solidify them with the public hearing and establishing those tax rates in June?
I'm not following your
Is
question.
that correct?
I'm not following your question.
In order to fulfill the requirements of what's used to be called the constant yield tax rate law, you're required to have a hearing. And now since the law's changed, if you exceed the prior year's tax rate, you have to go through and do a special advertisement.
Yeah, Mr. Best.
Have a hearing.
So the dates for the hearings are set, the budget hearing or the tax rate hearing is set for May 15th, which would be the next regular meeting. And then the budget hearing is set for May 22nd, which is a special meeting in the following week.
So the budget hearing is May 22nd, which fulfills the charter requirement. And May 15th is to set the tax rate to fulfill the state law requirement.
Correct.
And then the budget ordinance in the form of an emergency ordinance will be approved on the third Wednesday of June.
It won't be June 1st. So I won't be in attendance at that meeting. So it's actually on the item of things for us to discuss. We've got complications in June with dates. So the way that we have it set up is we'll have budget hearing. If council is able to get the draft budget and agree on the changes by next meeting or before next meeting, then we'll have the budget hearing to satisfy the requirement to present it before the public, and we can consider adopting the budget if it's in form ready to do so at that special meeting on the 22nd. If we need more time, we'll find a meeting in June to do that. But we have it set up so that we'll meet the state requirements, meet the charter requirements, and then be able to entertain passing the budget as soon as May 22nd.
So what I need to know is to draft the ordinance in the form, I've been asked to review the FY25 budget by the treasurer, and I'm willing to do that, obviously, but is it to be put in the format of an emergency ordinance or a regular ordinance where it has two readers?
Well, if we introduce it at the next meeting, it'll be a regular ordinance. Introduce at May 15th gives us a regular ordinance, and the second reading happens on the 22nd, which is more than 6 days after its first reading and less than 60 days.
All right, so be gonna break with the last several years and go with a regular ordinance for the budget. I understand.
Yes, sir, Mr. Best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the treasurer's report at this time? Thank you, Mr. Frankenfield. Next, we will move to the Department of Public Works. Mr. Belnavis, can you give us a 1-minute highlight of notable items from your report this month, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening to you all. My
Good
report
evening.
this evening, DPW storage room was cleaned and reorganized. Flags was hung at the Veterans Memorial, and the Maryland flag is now flying beneath it. DPW cleaned storm drains in all wards, all DPW trucks, snow plows, salt dogs, and was power washed and lubricated and put away for the summer. DPW removed broken telephone pole in the rain garden behind the town hall and was disposed in the dumpster. Removed kitchen from the first floor across from the town treasurer's office, and resolved the problem with the down electronic message board at town hall. A total of 3 DPW employees attended NORCAN training for, hold on, please. For people suffering from opioid drugs and overdose. DPW power washed exterior walls at the town hall parking lot, cut grass in town, and mulch for the 75th anniversary. Wiseman Electric Company was called to repair the EV station behind the town hall. We are still working on that. And the Welcome to Forest Heights signs were placed at Talbot and Shawnee Drive, where a walk path and flower gardens were installed. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Belnavis. Are there any questions for the Department of Public Works report for this month? Councilmember Brownson.
On the one of them, you said the message board, you went to PG County and borrowed a message board. So do you have to take that back and then we have to get a new one? You
Well,
said-
council member, we had intended to borrow from the county. We actually went out there because the message board had been down for so long. And when we got out there, they had to go through a process to get it to us. And during that time, our DP&W employees, while working at the message board out there at the front of the town hall, discovered that there was another trap door under the mulch, under the dirt, while they were digging out to beautify that area. And we found the trap door. I then went in, we investigated, realized that there was a power surge, and that caused that message board to shut down.
So you didn't have to borrow one
And
from.
we did not have to borrow it. So we called them back immediately to let them know that we no longer needed your assistance.
Okay.
Yes.
No, and one other question, you said, in one of your things, you said you removed plumbing from over here. What does that
So
mean?
we removed a kitchen that was down on the first floor. Inside next to the little hallway, there's a kitchenette there. It was an old kitchenette and needed to be replaced, needed to be taken away.
Oh,
It was no longer in use.
okay, thank you.
So we created that in that area instead. We created, I apologize,
In office space.
an office space, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Belnavis.
That was interesting.
Are there any other questions for the Department of Public Works report for this month? Councilmember Noble.
Not a question. I just want to make a statement that I can see that Public Works, the team, they've been working diligently and we can see the difference on the curbs, the leaves are up and it makes a difference and residents are noticing it. So thank you for your
Thank you.
efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Thank you, Mr. Belnavis. Are there any other further questions? Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have the Code Enforcement Division.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I don't really have any particular highlights for this month. Everything is pretty much straightforward. Um, right now, it seems as though Pepco was cutting down trees away from the wires, and I'm going to follow up to make sure that they're removing them, because there's been a couple of questions about who's responsible for removing those trees. So I know that it's not the job of Public Works, so I'm not directing it to them, but I'm going to follow up with Pepco tomorrow and see how they're going about removing those trees once they cut them down. Also, I'm sure that you all are aware that we are processing tax liens on for the municipal infractions that are unpaid. This is going to be an ongoing process for as long as we can keep it going. There are a number of outstanding fines right now that have not been paid to this point. I think the total is $13,980 outstanding right now. And that's up to last month. So we have more that is going to be forthcoming probably by the end of this month or the beginning of June.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Are there any questions for the Code Enforcement Division report for this month? Thank you, sir. Next, we will have the Ombudsman's report. Are there any questions for the Ombudsman's report for this month? Hearing none, we'll move to the next report. Next, we'll have the ARPA project manager. Mr. O'Connor, do you have a 1 minute highlight for notable items in your report, sir?
Yes, our red light enforcement programs moving forward, working with the vendor, met with State Highway and the red light system located at Aubrey and Indian Head Audrey Lane and 210 is going to be switched out. So that'll now be our equipment that's going to be there probably 30 to 60 days or less. So we're going to be sending notification to the county, working with Mr. Best to take care of that when the vendor to notify them to come get their equipment. That is something new. I sent out a brief email, but in great news, the $850,000 for Black Hawk Lane is fully awarded. I have been contacted to reach out to the U.S. Department of Transportation and start the process so we can go ahead and get that money. I've already notified the treasurer, and we'll be able to bid that out and get Black Hawk Lane fixed. Probably, I'm guessing work will start in September or October. Waiting on the grants to come back from the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention. And one big one was directed to write a grant submission to Congressman Ivey's office for real property acquisition for, I requested $4.5 million. And it was selected by the Congressman's office to move forward. It has gone to appropriations and that is where it sits now. But as far as any indications that we have, it does not look like that will be a problem for us. It is in the priority list of funding for that grant money. And it'll take probably October, November before we know anything further based on the federal budget. But we are in a very solid position to get that grant funding. Okay. Other than that, we attended the committee meetings, and there's a list of legislative action items in which I forwarded to Mr. Best and Chief Reese / ITA Reese, who's looped in on that. And we'll get things moving. It is lengthy, so it's going to take us a little bit to get that legislation flowing to the council. So please just have a little bit of patience on that because it's a lot of legwork on behalf of myself and Mr. Best. Other than that, those are the highlights unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Are there any questions for the ARPA project manager's report this month?
I had just one question,
Yes, Councilmember Bronson.
and I know you kind of explained it, but I just want to know the details on what fully funded and drawdown means as far as fixing Black Hawk Lane. You said it's fully funded. That means the government put it in their budget and the budget was approved. And so somebody else has to do something else and something else. So what's the steps for the town to get the money to the treasurer?
All right, so right now I have 7 task items through HUD and the US Department of Transportation that I am in the process of completing. Various different counts that need to be filled out and a webinar that I need to attend. Once that is done, well, first of all, during that process, Mr. Frankenfield will be put in there as the treasury point of contact. And then I have to go through the procurement process in order to identify the vendors. The vendors need to be approved by the federal government, as well as they need to be Maryland state approved vendors at the same time. After that is submitted, they'll approve the scope of work and the environmental study that is also accompanies it. And then that we'll be able to receive the funding to disperse. That's why I said October. It's going to take a while.
Thank you, Councilmember Bronson. Are there any other questions for the ARPA project manager's report? Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Next, we'll have the police department report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You
Good
have the
evening,
report
Chief.
in front of you. Just the highlights of, I do want to point out, we still are seeing a steady number of, recovered stolen vehicles that come through our jurisdiction. Obviously, we have seen a slight decrease on gun recoveries. We're still out there. Obviously, we anticipate uptick of both of those items as we go into the warmer months, which we will try to curve and get more, I guess, active of trying to get these guns off the street. Other than that, the police department, we have upcoming, which we know school is about to end. So we have our summer camp, which we're in the planning phase now. And so when my goal is to get a preliminary schedule to the council, so you can see all the events that we have planned for this summer for the POW summer camp that we're going to host. But other than that, I will entertain any questions.
Councilmember Noble.
Chief, on the PAL, the summer program, how many students can you manage in this program?
So we are ultimately trying to look for our goal to about 50. That's obviously depending on participation with volunteers. We had a lot of volunteers last time, and so hopefully they'll come back out. We are anticipating the reason why we're going for 50 is because obviously we're going to have teachers that within our schools, they're going to come, so they're going to be out of school, so we're going to bring them out as well. Obviously, we have a great participation from obviously the council. We have our residents come out, and also like from public safety, such as dispatchers, firefighters, they always come out and help us out for the camp. But this time we're going to incorporate some teachers as well.
Thank you, because I promoted it at the Flintstone Career Day.
Yes.
And what's the time
Thank you,
frame for the
Councilmember
camp?
Noble. Councilmember Bronson, you had a question?
The time frame for the camp?
So we're going to try to do also. You mean?
The dates, you have dates?
No, so that's what I can get back to you. So hopefully it's depending on the volunteers.
Okay. I have one other question. In your report, you have fraud, 2 cases. What kind of cases are those?
So that could be anything from residents just reporting bank fraud, that somebody's their checks were stolen or money coming out of their bank account, which they need a case report done so they can report it to their bank. So I don't know the specific, but that's one of the cases that we investigate.
Oh, okay. Because I hear a lot of fraud on TV where the seniors are being scammed. So I was wondering, do you have seniors that called and say that they've been scammed or anything?
No, so what we do, I'm actually glad this one actually brought to another topic. We don't really have that, but we are seeing uptick, so we do know we have the beer and wine store. They have a Bitcoin machine that you can kind of put money in, and so what we want to do, we're gonna put this out on our social media. That we want to warn our seniors of not doing Bitcoin. So what they're doing is we have received reports from Prince George's County that somebody will call and, pose that somebody say, hey, just pay these taxes or have a warrant or something like that. And they will tell them in order to pay it, you need to go to this machine and provide us the code. The only reason I caution that is because Bitcoin is very hard to track. We obviously, when we do the initial report, we pass it on to financial crimes within Prince George's County, but obviously with the amount of fraud that's going on, it'll be a while. So hopefully, and then I don't believe that Bitcoin is federally insured, so it's going to be hard getting your money back. So we do want to caution our seniors, or not even our seniors, or anybody to do that, and make sure if anybody you're doing anything, to try to do a little bit more investigation on who you're sending money to.
That'll be a good thing to put in the newsletter
Yes.
as well.
Council President McDonald, now go to
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Yes, I had a couple questions. First of all, thank you, ITA/Police Department Chief, for everything that you're doing. Seriously. I had a couple questions. So one is, it says you sent videos and documentation for the mayor and council for the Maryland State Pension, and that the health benefits, you're looking at some quotes from health benefit providers. Do you have a deadline on that
So
for fiscal year 25?
correct. So what we're doing now is we solicit our insurance company, our liability insurance, Legit. And so what they do is they have offered they have a health plan what is is joined with a whole bunch of other jurisdictions within the state of Maryland. So what we did was we gave them a census of our employees and what our plan and the plans that we currently have. And so what we did, we sent it to them, and they sent it back. And we noticed that it will be a significant cost savings for the town, and still providing the same level of service to our staff. I believe the health company is Cigna. Right now, we are under Kaiser, but this is right now, we're just looking in the phase of trying to see if what will best suit the town. So hopefully we're going to be working this week to see if we need to bring something to you all. But right now we're waiting back from the actual Cigna to do their part. We've already got the numbers back from Legit and the cost savings, but right now we're looking what their plan actually looks like. So we should have a report for you.
Okay. And one last thing I want to point out, your efforts in looking at the budget and ending unnecessary contracts.
Yes.
Because that was some of the things that we talked about during the finance committee when we first started, is to try to, be diligent in how we're spending our finances. So I want to say thank you for that too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Kennedy.
Under normal circumstances, I say I'm going back, but since you're wearing multiple hats, you pretty much encompass any question that we would throw at you. Just backtracking just a bit, one of the resolutions, potential resolutions to help with the parking situation in the town. I just want to make sure that we do inform the residents prior to us passing this, or, or once we pass it, do our due diligence and make sure that they're aware of it. Unfortunately, we know we're going to hear people say, I didn't know anything about it. But this reading what y'all put on here, it's going to affect a lot of people because I guess one of the things they're saying a maximum of 4 parking permits. There are quite a few houses in town that have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vehicles. So, I just want to make sure that we're getting the information out there.
Yeah, so what we want to do is probably maybe host like a forum to really get the questions and answers really out there. Obviously, we're not trying to fine but we know there is a problem. And so what we want to do is, and I think most of the time it's really the education of the residents And so I think we'll really get, some things really rectified through that question and answer form. So we'll post it, hopefully, once we get through the budget season and get some things calmed down, we'll post it and, have everybody obviously come in this room and so.
Is this something that's going to be implemented across the town at the same time, or is this something that's going to be on a as needed basis?
So we probably want to do it in phases and as needed, because obviously it's just some areas in town that that's not going to affect. Obviously they have adequate parking and things like that. So it's just no need changing it there. I think that's the reason why we want to do zones instead of just a blanket thing over the entire town.
Okay. One of the other things mentioned was the camera at Audrey.
Yes.
So are we still working on possibly putting a camera at Bald Eagle?
Yeah, so Mr. O'Connor can do that. So what we're running into is obviously our partners are State Highway Administration. So they don't really like cameras. So it's always a struggle of trying to get permits from them. But we are working with them. We have completed some studies. So we will be having some things come in. Mr. O'Connor, he actually talked to the representative and give you a more update for that specific one. But Audrey, obviously, like Mr. O'Connor said, that is already a red light camera that's up, that's managed by Prince George's County Police. So in the past, we have already annexed the roadway all the way up to the DC line. So they have to take down their camera like we did on Oxon Hill Road and put our camera up. So that's the process that we're going through now on that particular camera, but I will transfer it from the mayor for Mr. O'Connor, give me an update for Bald Eagle.
So Bald Eagle Drive is in a holding pattern with the State Highway Administration. They want additional data. So I went and got additional data through the Maryland State Police. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get a positive determination on that, because they don't just do it by the people that run the red light. They want to look for right angle collisions and how many right angle collisions occur at that intersection on an annual basis to warrant the need for a red light camera. So they're very strict on that, and they do not hand out the permits very lightly with red light. So I'm thinking it's a 50-50 shot for Bald Eagle, but we're working on it, and hopefully we'll be able to get something in place. The existing infrastructure is easy, like the county one, because it's already there. We did have to argue with them because with the State Highway Administration, basically what I told them is Prince George's County is basically operating their camera ultra-virus in the town. They can't do it. It's not their jurisdiction there. It's our jurisdiction. And if you want additional studies, and it says that a camera shouldn't go there, then the county is going to have to remove their camera because you just said a camera shouldn't go there. So I kind of backed them into a corner on that one, and they agreed. I spoke with Kevin on that and got some additional legal information on what the county should and shouldn't be doing. But either way, that one was a little bit easier. So anytime it comes to the state highway right away, we're having a hard time. Even Livingston to Indian Head Highway, and then Indian Head to Livingston on the northbound and southbound sides still held up with the state highway for right angle collisions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor, for the added detail. Thank you, Chief Reese, for your report, and council for your questions. We've covered the town administrator report as well. Just want to add a quick note there. We did hold the employee summit where we discussed the changes to the retirement policy, potentially benefit updates, and core values for staff working within the town. Did you have any other updates on that, Chief?
No, sir.
Okay.
I think we're really encompassing that. So I think just like the council said, we had the entire town, we had a forum. This obviously with the legislation that was passed last meeting about obviously the 457. So the entire town is notified about it. We had questions and answers. We got it out, and it was really a good dialogue, just about with anything, everything that's going on with the town. And they gave some good suggestions what we can do going forward. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. One of the suggestions we got too was to consider adopting a policy where everything we put out informationally goes out in English and Spanish as a policy, so that we can do it as a more complete effort. That way, as a council and as staff, we know from the beginning that everything that we're going to put out needs to be done in both. And so be looking at considering legislation to formally adopt that policy, bringing that to the council soon. That concludes our departmental reports. And now we will have public period. This is an opportunity for anyone who's online to speak. If you're part of the public, is there anyone online who wishes to speak at this time? Okay. We don't have anyone in the audience here with us either. We do encourage residents to come in person if you would like to and can make it, or to join us online to ask questions and provide feedback. At this time, public period is now closed. Next, we will move into legislation. And the first item under legislation this evening is Resolution 22-24. And this is a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, appointing Reginald Bagley as town administrator. And this is introduced by myself, Mayor Lilly. I move that we adopt Resolution 22-24.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 22-24. Discussion. Councilmember Bronson.
I just had a few concerns about the process. It seems as though Mr. Bagley has been so involved in the day-to-day activities of the town before he's even hired. And some things just doesn't seem appropriate before you hire someone to be so involved. Also, my pet peeve is the salary. I think is on this resolution is too much. I know it's been approved and adopted.
Yes, it has.
But that's one of my pet peeves. I think is too much for a beginning town administrator here at this time. Those are my pet peeves.
Thank you, Councilmember Bronson. Is there any further discussion, Councilmember Noble?
Just in the resolution in the now therefore, it says effective immediately. I think it should be a date as opposed to the term immediately. That's just a question.
Well, Mr. Best, is there any bearing on the term effective immediately versus effective May 6th, 2024? Okay, thank you, Mr. Best. Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Are there any other questions? Sure, Councilmember Noble.
I just want to go back to date again. I mean, you can approve something on a date, but that doesn't mean it's effective that date. So that, I guess that's my, question. Okay, you don't see what the issue is. Thank you. I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Councilmember Kennedy.
So should we put effective tomorrow? Because he's not starting tonight, is he?
Oh, just one at a time. Thank you.
Well, I believe that might be what Councilwoman Noble was looking at, putting a date other than immediately, which would be right now at roughly 8-ish.
Would anyone like to offer an amendment?
I offer amendment that we put it at the beginning of a pay period.
Did you want to make a formal motion? Well, I think we should do it as soon as possible, the latest being tomorrow. And I'm looking at Chief Reese's face.
Oh, he ready to get rid of his job. Thursday.
Okay. Is there an amendment on the floor that someone wants to propose? I hear none. Mr. O'Connor.
Just so the mayor and council are aware, the new ADP system that we have, it automatically can prorate so that the historical way of starting somebody on a pay period, unless that's just something that you prefer to do, is not necessary anymore, because once you put them in the system, it calculates everything for you automatically. So that if it's a concern of that, then there shouldn't be.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Councilmember Noble.
And on the ADP system, who does the input? Is that the,
Myself and my staff.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on Resolution 22-24? Councilmember Kennedy.
So is that because since you are wearing the hat of interim town administrator?
No, so we were in the process, obviously, with our ADP, we're bringing it up to standard. So myself and my staff, we've been working, trying to put all of like the rules and codes in place. So right now, we took control of ADP to get it right. I have a standard meeting with ADP every Tuesday. So to get everything up to par.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy and Chief Reese. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir.
We didn't, oh, okay. Does someone want to offer an amendment? I withdraw my motion to call the roll.
Sorry about that. Did you actually have an amendment? Okay, so I would like to amend it to not put immediately, but change it to, if we are going to vote on this tonight, to accept Mr. Bagley, to put May 7th as opposed to tonight.
Got a motion.
Okay, could you state it in a motion, Councilmember Kennedy, like I move to?
I move to, have to find it. Hold on, have to find it. All right, I move to amend the end of the now therefore be it resolved clause to change the word effective immediately to Tuesday, May 7th, 2024.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend Resolution 22-24, striking the words in the now therefore be it resolved clause, become effective immediately, and inserting, I'm sorry, we need to change that actually. We just need to change to become effective and put in date. So the only thing we need to take out is immediately. However, as the current motion stands, it's to insert the words Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, and to strike the words become effective immediately. To strike the words immediately. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, I move that we adopt Resolution 22-24 as amended.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Hines. Excuse me. Councilmember Noble.
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Browson,
No.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Mayor Lily.
Yes.
Motion passed as amended, striking immediately and inserting May the seventh, 2024. Motion passed as amended.
Thank you,
All
Madam
14
Clerk.
votes. Excuse
Can you
me.
call the number of votes? Yes, yeas and nays?
Yes, sir. And it's Tuesday, May the seventh, ma'am.
That's
As
correct.
amended. Okay. So we have, Councilmember Noble is yes. Councilmember Kennedy is yes. Councilmember Little is yes. Council President McDonald is yes. Council President, Councilmember Browson is no, and Mayor Lily is yes.
Yes, I wanted the count of how many yeses we had and how versus how many.
Oh, I
noes.
apologize.
And
So
then
you
we have one that's
you have
absent.
6 yeses and 1 no.
5 yes.
1, 2, 3. Oh, Councilwoman Hines not here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 yeses and 1 no.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next, we'll have resolution 23-24. And this is a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, accepting the resignation of Mrs. Shirlita Hawkins from the office of town clerk. This is introduced by myself, Mayor Lilly. I move that we adopt resolution 23-24.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 23-24. Discussion. I'll give a preface just to say that Ms. Hawkins has been with the town for a number of years and served as clerk for many, many years. We appreciate her service. We appreciate her extending the end of her career as town clerk here for many months. She originally planned to leave at the end of 2023. But as we were not able to find a suitable replacement, she extended her time and helped us through a number of events and initiatives. So we are not happy to see her go, but we understand that she's looking forward to doing other things with her time and continuing to contribute to the town as a volunteer. Is there any other discussion on resolution 23-24? I'm gonna go with Councilmember Brownson.
Excuse me, in the first whereas, it says the town clerk by letter to the town administrator. Shouldn't it be the interim town administrator?
That's a worthy change. Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Well, let's take care of that one now. I move that we amend resolution 23-24 in the first whereas, inserting the word interim in front of town administrator. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend resolution 23-24 in the first whereas, inserting the word interim in front of town administrator. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Is there any further discussion on resolution 23-24? Councilmember Noble.
Yes, well, if we can technical, on the first whereas, is this a resignation or retirement? Because the lead is resignation, then it's retire. And then the second part is, have we gotten any applicants for this position?
Well, the clerk is resigning, but she's retiring, so I think it goes hand in hand. And for her, the retirement means that she'll be transitioning out of the town clerk career path. So
I'll be retiring.
as far as we know, she's not going to another municipality. I'm just kidding. On the second question, Chief Reese, do you want to speak to some of the candidates and some of the work we've done to identify a replacement?
Yes, Mayor. So in the past couple of weeks, we had, two, qualified people, I believe, to, apply. They went through the interview process with myself, had an interview with the mayor. They've also, we have them submit a writing sample to gauge, I guess, their ability to write, and formulate a town meeting packet. And so they've come back. We have had, I would say, one person that we should express interest in. But I will leave that to the new town administrator, to gauge that even further. So we should have something to you, I believe, by hopefully next meeting, for a replacement. If you see fit that they're qualified. So, we have had, in both, the administration assistant and the town clerk. So we have people in the, I guess, in the town hopper.
One of the candidates that we were very interested in for town clerk accepted a position with a higher salary. So before we got to the end, they accepted a position with another entity with a higher salary. And we did check to see how much that individual makes. They make significantly more than the clerk does. So I don't think we'll be successful in winning them back at this time, but who knows? Who knows? So thank you, Chief Reese, for that information. Any other questions related to this resolution? Okay, hearing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes. Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy. Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Browson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Mayor Lilly.
Yes.
We have 6 yes. Motion passed as amended. Striking in the first whereas, retired and put in resignation. Also in the town, insert intern in front of town administrator.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Is that?
Was that correct, Councilmember?
We're just gonna leave retired then,
Okay,
because you said.
Oh, yeah, we didn't amend retire. Retire stayed the same. Yeah,
okay.
that's right. Interim was the only insertion and item that we amended for this resolution.
Yes, sir.
Next, we will have ordinance number 03-24. And this is an ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, amending and adding Article 26, admissions and amusement tax of the town ordinance code, thereby creating, defining, and authorizing the levy and collection of a state shared revenue known as the admissions and amusement tax for certain entertainment and amusement activities conducted within the town and subject to municipal taxation, and generally relating to municipal finance and taxation. This is introduced by myself, Mayor Lilly. This is the first reading for ordinance number 03-24. So we're not voting on this tonight. Is there a discussion on ordinance number 03-24? And Mr. O'Connor, if you could give a brief overview of this ordinance, sir.
Yes, Mayor and Council, what this ordinance does is it enables the town to collect a share of the state collected revenue for amusement taxes. There's a table in the back in which there are eligible amusement taxes. The mechanism by this is the vendor collects the tax, they pay it to the comptroller, and then the comptroller would then send us our share of the revenue. It's applicable to things such as anytime there's like a fee paid for an entrance or a ticket, driving ranges for golf. There's various things it's applicable to. Get bowling alleys.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Mr. Best, did you have any items to highlight from this ordinance, sir?
I would just say that the county currently levies admissions and amusement taxes in the corporate limits, but those revenues go to the county coffers because heretofore, the town has not levied its own admissions and amusement tax. Like many ordinances that municipalities are authorized to enact, until the town overtly enacts its own ordinance. And when it does so, it pushes out the county's ordinance. So the county's ability to assess these admissions and amusement taxes will be pushed out. Now, there are some taxes dealing with admissions and amusement that are not authorized to municipalities. The county will continue to collect those, but this basically allows the town to step into the shoes of the county and take over this taxation, which is important because soon some of these will be added with the annexation of National Harbor, National View. So when that property is developed, a lot of these fees will kick in earnest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Is there any other discussion on ordinance number 03-24? Council President McDonald.
Mr. Best, I guess I'm just trying to understand. So it's between 1% and 10%? Is that just in Calvert County or is that in all of the 156 municipalities?
That is the range that municipalities can tax.
Okay.
I believe this ordinance will set the rate at 10% across the board, except with some exceptions in section 26-3. So it'll be 10% for these various admissions and amusements items, if you will, that are enumerated, particularly on the exhibit, which is Appendix C, will be 10%. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So is it a tax on top of a tax? So the tax that we receive, will it be taxed?
I don't know what
No.
tax. It's not a tax on top of a tax. It's a tax for admissions to certain entertainments and musical activities that are enumerated on that Appendix C. It's not a tax on a tax. I'm not sure what you're, yeah,
So
you mean about the county tax?
Mr. O'Connor gets me. Go ahead.
No, so we're not, the county isn't establishing a tax, and then we're saying on top of that tax, we're charging a tax.
Right, okay.
We're taking that percentage of the tax.
Got it. Gotcha. Thank
The
you.
county's current tax will go away when this becomes effective.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor, Mr. Best, and Council President McDonald. Is there any other discussion on ordinance number 03-24? Okay, next we'll move to ordinance number 04-24. This is emergency ordinance number 04-24. This is an emergency ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, to authorize or forego certain supplemental tax billings, amend certain budget line items, and otherwise correct, reapprove, and readopt the fiscal year 2024 budget and authorize its further amendment by resolution. And this is introduced by council members Brownson and Noble. And this is an emergency ordinance, meaning that it is intended to not follow the normal schedule. So we'll have a reading here and reading at the next meeting. Is there discussion on emergency ordinance number 04-24. Mr. Frankenfield, are you online, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, let's give us 1 second. I want to make sure your volume's correct, so we can hear you. You all. And one correction, it looks like we're going to actually vote on this tonight, so we'll need to amend the enacted date that's at the top of this ordinance. But Mr. Frankenfield, if you could just add any comments for council and the community briefly.
Yes, definitely. This ordinance that we have in front of you this evening should incorporate the wishes of the council that we discussed at our last meeting. We got input from Mr. Best that we're not going to change the adopted residential tax rate. We're simply going to abate it, meaning we're not going to choose not to collect from the residents the difference between what was adopted and what we billed. We're also going to increase the tax rates for both the commercial properties and the rented residential properties with this ordinance. And I'll yield there for any questions.
So just to add more context, we'll send the supplemental tax letter request to rented residential and to commercial. We won't do that for primary residential homes, and the rate won't be changed, but we'll just abate the amount. And is there any other discussion on ordinance number 04-24 before we move to amend? Councilmember Brownson?
I thought that we discussed that, when does this, if it's an emergency, does it have to be published in the newsletter or someplace? Does
Mr.
it have-
Best? After it's passed.
Okay, so in that, we said that we were gonna explain to the residents about the mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, under new business, there's a section for us to talk about that, and then we'll offer a draft letter for council to see before it goes out. And that letter will state, it's going to do two things. It's going to first alert residents to the fact that that there was an error, and then it's going to let them know what council decided to do, that they decided to abate the difference, and that the rate has always been the same because the rate that the council adopted was published in the ordinance. And then it will let them know that they won't have to pay the difference. But for the other individuals or property owners who have the commercial or rented residential, they will get a supplemental billing statement. If there's no further questions on ordinance number 04-24, I move that we amend this ordinance, striking under next to enacted the date May 15th. And Mr. Best, do we have to have the enacted line at all, or can we just strike it?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Mayor, you can strike it.
Okay, so I move that we amend ordinance number 04-24, striking the words enacted May 15th, 2024.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend ordinance number 04-24, striking the words enacted May 15th, 2024. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Uh-huh.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Councilmember Noble.
There's the May 15th in time.
Okay. Votes of at least.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, there's 3 iterations of the 15th on that page.
Further at the bottom. So I see it in in 1, 2, 3. I see it in the having been introduced clause. I see it in I hereby certify and passed. Okay. And then I hereby certify. Let's see if we find any other 15ths.
Page 4. Oh, no, that's me. It's my bad, my eyes.
No. Right. Yeah, we had to make changes. Yeah. Okay. I have a number of amendments, Madam Clerk. Hope your writing pen is ready. I move that we further amend emergency ordinance number 04-24 on page 6 under having been introduced. Striking the number 15 beside day of May 2024. And you know what, let's just actually take this whole thing out because it's got the time. Okay. Under having been introduced, striking 15th day of May 2024 at 8 p.m. and inserting today's date is May 6th of May, 6th day of May 2024 at 7:30 p.m. It's the time of the meeting. We'll leave it at the time of the meeting. And under and having been read, striking after the words mayor on this, it should say 6th day of May 2024 at or okay, we'll leave it at that. And then where it says passed, this 15th day of May will strike 15 and insert 6th. And at the bottom under the vote count, striking 15th and inserting 6th day of May. You have it. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend emergency ordinance number 04-24 under having been introduced, striking the 15th day of May 2024 at 8 p.m., inserting the 6th day of May 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Under and having been read, striking the 17th day of April 2024 and inserting 6th day of May 2024. Under pass, striking 15th day of and inserting 6th day of, and under I hereby certify, striking 15th day of and inserting 6th day of. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. I move that we adopt emergency ordinance number 04-24 as amended.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt emergency ordinance number 04-24 as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilman Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Browson,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Mayor Lily.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can you call the number of yays versus nays?
We have 6 yes. Motion passed as amended.
Thank you. All right, next we will move to ordinance number 05-24. And this is an ordinance of the town of Forest Heights, adding Article 27, Community Garden of the Ordinance Code of the town of Forest Heights regarding the use and administration of a community garden and generally relating to town real property. Introduced by Councilmember Brownson. And this is also Council President McDonald will amend and have your name added. Is there a discussion on ordinance number 05-24? Let's take care of this amendment. I move that we adopt ordinance number 05-24, inserting Council President McDonald on the introduced by line. Council President McDonald. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and second that we amend ordinance number 05-24, inserting Council President McDonald on the introduced by line. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Mr. O'Connor, you worked on this ordinance and partnered with Council President and Councilmember Brownson. Could you just give us a highlight and overview on this legislation?
Sure, Mayor.
Am I correct, or is it Mr. Best?
Mr. Best
My
labored
apologies.
on the
My
resolution. The work with the community garden and putting the finer details in which gonna capture the resolutions would be the work that I did on it. This is actually something Mr. Best put together from another jurisdiction.
Thank you, Mr. Best. My apologies.
Yeah, this ordinance is essentially copied from another town, Cottage City. And it really puts a structure of organization for the community garden. Calls for the appointment of two coordinators or co-leaders to act as liaisons between the gardeners, the guests, the mayor and council, and any partnering organizations. They're allowed to promulgate rules for the conduct and use of the garden. They can require fees. They will help coordinate the waiver and release forms from the gardeners so that the town can avoid risk by having gardeners use the town property. So that's the gist of it. It has a provision that talks about town responsibilities, including the maintenance of insurance to the local government insurance trust. That's something to coordinate with the trust to make sure that the garden is properly insured, which I assume it has been for some time. So that's the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Best. I have a question really quickly on the item for insurance. Is this a level that the town currently has of coverage? Is it a level we'd have to increase to? On page 5, correct.
That's pretty standard for legit. I would just ask staff to make sure you coordinate with JIT and advise them of this property. I assumed it's been on their list for years and that they have that coverage or more. Pardon coverage.
The insurance is more than that, actually. This is the bare minimum. Legit actually covers more on the general liability based on the total assets of the town. This is just the minimum coverage.
Okay.
I will add that this is, the way I view this, and it's not in its technical sense, the correct term, but enabling, legislation. There's several resolutions that are going to be brought forth, if not, or one encapsulating resolution to the mayor and council. Identifying our OGs, our original gardeners, that we have from the meeting. So some were in attendance, but they're going to be identified with the fee waivers. It's also going to identify town used spaces where the food can still be used in the garden and doesn't violate any grant terms, so the town will remain eligible for grants. It's also going to involve the Denny House and some staff members, and as well as the appointment of 2 members to start the community liaison portion of it. So there's either one large resolution or a few resolutions that are going to come forward to the mayor and council, identifying all of that after this gets passed.
Okay. Are there any questions or any further discussion on resolution ordinance number 05-24? What was that, Chief Reese?
I was just letting you know that I'm on a legit portal. It is covered.
Okay, the community garden is currently covered
Correct.
and it exceeds or it meets that amount currently.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mayor, I think we have just one administrative item
What's that?
related to the fee. I think Mr. Best has an amendment.
What I'd like to do is amend this in section 27.2, paragraph D, to make it clear that the council can approve and revise the fees, if there are any, by resolution, as opposed to a mandatory ordinance. And that would be on page 3 of 7, subsection B of section 27.2, and probably say something where it's at the last few words of the sentence, where it says other administrative matters as approved by council by resolution. And so you'll see that updated in the next version. This is the first reader, so you'll have a second reader of this ordinance at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Just one moment. I move that we amend ordinance number 05-24 under section 27.2 in item B, after the words administrative matters, removing the period and inserting as approved by council by resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend ordinance number 05-24 under section 27.2, item B, after the words administrative matters, inserting the words as approved by council by resolution. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. One more question. Are there any other items under this section 27 or that deal specifically with the assignment of either individuals or some of the policies and procedures that could be moved or adopted under ordinance or under resolution as an ordinance could be more intensive to make changes to? Page 4. Let me see if it's in section 27, just one moment.
Mayor, if I understand, you're just asking if this particular wording, as approved by council by resolution.
Will it
Uh,
apply to everything that's
Right.
all the additional sections that are there? Or all the additional information that's in that section? To clarify my question, would we also be able to make changes under section 27.3, some of the minimum garden requirements or responsibilities by resolution as well? Or will they have to be made with a change to ordinance?
The rulemaking is by the coordinators. They have the authority under this ordinance to do the rulemaking. You don't
Okay.
even have to come to the council. They basically will internally set the rules. If you want to change that, you can change that. If you want to have them have rulemaking with condition that any rules that they promulgate come before the council first, you can do that. That's not the way it is right now.
Okay. Just a question.
Councilors will be on the committee.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean.
Council President McDonald, do you have a
I
question?
had a quick question about, so in terms of insurance, would we have to limit the number of people? Say if we were to have an event larger than the space capacity, we would have to limit the number of people, right?
I don't think
But
there's
that-
fire marshal limits when there's no building. If it's a lot. There's simply no fire safety codes that limit how many people congregate on the lot, and so. That's your question. If you have a special event, let's say you had a event that was really extraordinary. And you wanted to make sure that it was covered by legit, you talk to them and you might have a special policy for that, but generally, no, legit is gonna evaluate the property and make sure that it's included in your umbrella policy and that the town is being properly assessed in its insurance policy for that property, which I assume has been done for years. Legit, I assume, is known for many years. That's a community garden.
Yeah, I
And
think
it's
we do
probably
have
already
one.
doing it at a higher coverage rate than is stated in this ordinance.
So I guess the question then would be to get a copy of the insurance so we can review it, I guess, to see what our current standing is with it. Is there a way we can request a copy of it?
Of course
Of
you
the
can,
policy?
but you're gonna be overwhelmed by it. It's gigantic.
It's gigantic?
It's huge.
Might I proffer that we have whoever's the town administrator at the time to review it and just confirm that it meets the requirement?
Yeah, you have every town has a staff member at Legit that works with that particular town
Okay.
on its policies. And so that's the go-to person for
Okay.
questions and verification. Rather than having to weed through hundreds of pages.
Yes, sir.
Legit agreement.
Thank you.
Huge.
Thank you, Council President, Mr. Best.
Legit can provide a COI, and that'll have the terms of the certificate of insurance, which will have anything on it. Plus, it's in the portal. I'm pretty sure once you get it, Chief Reese will be able to find something in the portal eventually that'll show the general limits of your auto liability and that are associated with the town.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Is there any further discussion on ordinance number 05-24? All right. Next, we will move into council member and mayor's reports, and we'll begin with Ward 1. Council President McDonald.
Good evening, everyone. April 27th, the Finance Committee met, and as Mr. Frankenfeld stated, we have balanced the budget moving forward with fiscal year 25. We were also able to address some of the outstanding issues that we had. So that is good. And then also on April 27th, the Green Team met to discuss our efforts for sustainable Forest Heights, especially including the community garden and partnering with Denny House. We talked about our plans and activities and deliverables for sustainable projects. Myself and Councilwoman Brownson met with MML to ensure we're moving along in the application process. Also, Mr. O'Connor is helping us in this effort, as stated in his report. The application is due June 30th. Myself, Mr. Holland, and Councilwoman Brownson met with WABA, the Washington Area Bicycling Association. And we will meet again on May 7th to discuss partnering with the town on establishing a Learn to Ride program with the Forest Heights Elementary School. And I will also be accompanying Mr. Holland and Oxon Hill High School to the mental health awareness event on May 31st. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. Councilmember Little.
Good evening, all. I would just like to tell everyone thank you for their contributions to the 75th anniversary celebrations. Everyone did a wonderful job. It was very successful. DPW did an awesome job of helping setting up and cleaning up. Also, DPW is doing an awesome job with the signs around the town. I'm enjoying the signs. And that'll be about all. Thank you. Oh. Career Day at Flintstone was also a success. They have our pictures up on the monitors. I look forward to doing more events with our community schools. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Little. Next, we'll move to Ward 2, Councilmember Kennedy. I switched it up today.
Piggyback on what Councilwoman Little was saying. It was a very nice 3-day events that transpired. Kudos to everyone. There was a lot of hard work behind the scenes. So thank you for everyone who may or may not have gotten the accolades they deserve. It was definitely a pleasure seeing our residents and most of the people who we don't get to see in a formal setting. Everybody cleaned up well. It turned out very nicely, and I was very proud to see Forest Heights on its 75th anniversary shine. I only have one question though. Are we doing a Forest Heights Day this year? Because I've had numerous people ask that.
Well, Forsyth Day, we had 3 in April, but it's not on the map. It's not on the list of items for FY25. So maybe what we'll do is we'll review our calendar quarterly and we'll find a way to do something maybe on a smaller scale that won't have the financial impact, but then still allows residents to come out and celebrate. We know we have lots of events that folks in town are used to having year out and year in. So we'll find a way as a council to suffice, even though it may not be as big as it normally is. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Well, we haven't developed a calendar for August 2025 or 2024 yet, but we'll be looking at quarterly scheduling to plan out what events we will have. Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Councilmember Brownson.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank everyone. I enjoyed the 75th anniversary as well on that Saturday. It was a good event that Saturday to have the residents come out and mingle with one another and talk about how long they've been in the town and seeing old friends. So that was a good game. I did attend that one. It was well attended and it was very nice. So thank you everyone for setting that up and making that happen. I sat in on the finance committee meeting, but when I had the Ways and Means Committee meeting, my committee members, some of them did not attend, and I was kind of disappointed in that. My apologies. A guilty conscience will speak. But the Ways and Means Committee and the Finance Committee sometimes kind of run together. So we ran over, but at the beginning of the Ways and Means Committee, I had to state our mission so that we didn't continue to discuss finances.
What is the mission of the meeting?
As the advisory body of the council, the Ways and Means Committee shall inquire into and consider the methods and sources for raising revenues and propose the means for providing the funds needed by the town government. So that is our mission. So we try to concentrate on that alone. So one of the things we discussed, and I want to thank everyone that came out to help and enjoy this discussion. The treasurer, Mr. Frankenfield, Mr. O'Connor, Councilwoman Noble, who else was there? And well, you're a member, so. So thank but you're a member, so and member was there. So one of the things we talked about, Mr. Frankenfield had given us a draft budget. So one of the things we talked about, and they had some alternatives that, you know, we can, well, he said some things that's on the budget, like sell the whatever that cleaners. And so we discussed that as not being an alternative. We can find a way to balance maybe find a way to balance the budget without that. So one of the things Mr. O'Connor proposed, but I think Mr. Frankenfield and Mr. O'Connor proposed that the ARPA funds can be used for town operating budget. So he said that it would have to be a resolution written, and so that he can go back to the ARPA and put that in as an amendment. So that's one of the things we discussed as being helping with the shortfall for the 2025 budget. Also, Mr. Frankenfield suggested that the fund balance can be used to support the town expenses for a short period of time in order to, until revenues start coming in, like the taxes and speed camera money and things like that start coming in. So that was another suggestion. And then we discussed the annexation of Maryland 210. Mr. O'Connor gave an update on that. He stated that the annexation is in progress and the ordinance should be coming to this council soon. And he's already talked to Red Speed about it, who's our vendor right now. So he's anticipating that the cameras might be able to go up in October of 2024, maybe the citations can start going out in December and maybe revenue can start coming in January of 2025. So if we use the ARPA funds and the fund balance to hold us over, maybe we can help, survive financially until these things take place. And we also discussed that intern town administrator Reese discussed that he uses the lobbies on Greenville a lot to do write budgets and find grants for the police department. So we discussed maybe having the Greenville lobbyists come to our next Ways and Means committee meeting so that we can discuss our needs of the town and have them look for grants or give us some suggestions for that. So that was that meeting. I thought it was very productive. And as Council President Noble mentioned, we are meeting tomorrow at Forest Heights Elementary to talk about the Waba bike ride. They want to do some lessons for the youth and use Forest Heights area as a site. So that's the meeting for tomorrow. That's all I have. So I was thinking that these things that we discussed in Ways and Means Committee might help with the budget planning if we agree to these things.
Thank you for presenting the findings. And just to recap what you all discussed, Councilmember Bronson.
Yeah.
Just one thing. So I just wanted for the record, the green team is going to meet on May the 25th from 10 to 11. The finance committee meeting will be meeting at 11 from 10 to 11
Oh, in May?
in May. May 25th, the green team will meet from 10 to 11. Then the finance committee meeting will meet from 11 to 12.
Okay, then I'll try.
And then the Ways and Means is from,
I'll try to back it up and try to get it, if they agree, I think we try to get Greenville to come out. If you all agree with that.
I will ask them. Yeah. Ms. Felice. Okay.
I spoke with representative and told them about the request and they said they will fulfill it.
Okay.
Thank you.
so do we have a time yet? No?
Well, it's gonna be Ways and Means will follow the finance.
12 to 1.
12 to 1, okay. So 10 to 11, green team, green team, 11 to 12, finance, 12 to 1, Ways and Means on May the 25th. Madam Clerk, thank you.
Thank you, Council President. All right, thank you for updates. We're missing Councilmember Hines tonight. Just want to thank everyone who was involved with the 75th anniversary again. Public Works, the committee, which includes the town clerk, Ms. Cooney, Councilmember Kennedy, Councilmember Hines, Councilmember Little, Leah Swindler, Mr. David Acevedo, Ms. Monica Lawson. I believe that's everyone. I call David. And most importantly, the residents. We got to see a lot of residents come out. We had 3 different events and we saw different groups of people that came out each day, which was very nice. Some people who were born in Forsyth 70 years ago came, and then we had some people who've only been here for 6 months. So it was a nice mixture. And we also want to thank the Oxon Hill Color Guard that came and helped us on the Incorporation Day. We had the Forsyth Elementary School Choir come and sing. We had 2 hosts at the gala that both live in have lived in Forsyth or do. Miss Kenya Basilis, who lives in Forsyth now, and Mr. Aaron Spears, who grew up here, served as our hosts, and also our elected officials from around the state, the county, and federal, who came to celebrate and give the town citations, plaques. We also had a greeting from Governor Moore, which was very nice as well. All right, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to try to move through it quickly. What happened? I'm so sorry, Councilmember Noble. My apologies. I was looking around. I said, I know we did. Charge it to my head and not to my heart, please. My apologies. I'll finish and I'll go to you. Is that okay? My apologies. We're doing so well in the meeting time. I thought we were going to be out by 9:30. So As mentioned by Mr. O'Connor, we do get a lot of grants for the town. I know we've highlighted some to go for the police, but we look for grants for the town as well. One grant that came up was one out of Congressman Ivy's office for the USDA, or United States Department of Agriculture. This is a grant that allows communities and public bodies to purchase property and buildings. And so we submitted the grant for the possibility that the town may be able to, in the future, procure 5410 as a building that could service both the town and the police department. Now, obviously, that's not a done deal. It has to go through several rounds of approval, but we submitted it. And surprisingly, the project was accepted to move forward. So there is a potential that we'll be in line to receive funding if the town and council decides that we want to move in that direction, since the property is up for sale now and has been, and is in a strategic location. As mentioned before, the treasurer has reorganized the budget so that our budget does not have to involve selling 5529 right away or hastily. However, there are some parties who are currently in the community and who are invested in the community, who may have interest in that property. One of the other things we needed to clear up was, what else? Thank you, DPW, for the signs that you put out around town. Residents have responded positively, and that's just the beginning of our beautification efforts. Thank you for the flags, both at Town Hall and at the Veterans Memorial. We covered the employee meeting, which already happened. And we also would like to thank our sponsors who donated close to $40,000 to help us celebrate that 75th anniversary weekend. We'll be getting thank you letters out to all of them. And thank you for council who came and supported as well. With that, I will turn it over to Councilmember Noble for Ward 3. You're welcome.
Thank you.
My apologies.
That's okay. That's okay. Good evening again. For tonight, I just have some updates on, I'm sorry, some events that are going on. I'm participating in the Prince George's County State's Attorney's Academy. It's every Monday at 6 o'clock. This is their first academy. They'll have another one in the near future. But as part of that effort, they have a event on Friday, May 17th. It's the Untold Story of Justice Involved Women and Girls Conference. So I will leave this with the clerk to post. Another event is Laughing in Spite of It. It's the Rosalind Morgan story. It's a story about a woman and her mother with dementia, and it'll be at Harmony Hall. I'll leave that to post. Dementia Friendly, we are scheduled to meet in this building next month, second Wednesday at 6:30, and there'll be a food demonstration as part of the meeting. But in the meantime, there are activities. Dementia Friendly America South County provides, and that's Caregiving Men. They meet second Saturdays at noon virtually. We have Train Your Brain, I'm sorry, that meets the first Wednesday at 4. So it's a lot of events, and we'll put the codes where you can scan QR codes on the online.
So that dementia friendly event is going to be on June 12th.
The second Wednesday.
June 12th. Okay.
Uh-huh. And we had a food demonstration month before last, but it was virtual. So this time we'll get to smell and eat and taste and all that. 6:30. And it was a veggie burger, but it just looked so good.
That's gonna be here.
Yes. So we'll have it here. And I think, and we're planning for a public safety meeting soon. And also Abundant Life every Wednesday, I think, Council President, what time was that? 9 o'clock? For Abundant Life on Wednesdays. They're doing not a meet and greet, but coffee, just to get to know the community. No, that's been canceled.
Okay.
The tea's been canceled.
Okay.
But they're doing it out in their front, so.
What day is it?
Wednesdays,
Every Wednesday. At what time?
although they weren't anticipated, 9 o'clock. 9 a.m., yeah, 9 a.m. They're out there about an hour or so,
Okay.
yeah. So I think that was it. And the last thing, for me, I don't know who distributes the newsletters, but we want to be conscious of not putting them in the mailbox because that is an illegal act to place something in a mailbox.
Well, last month they got mail through the mail, so the
Okay.
mail carriers delivered them, but good point nonetheless.
Okay. Why? The mailman? Well, I never get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. If I could just add one more item too, Chief Reese, just following up on the PAL program. One of the other opportunities we're looking at for the PAL program is a partnership with JTCC, which provides tennis instruction and may potentially use Bell Acres Park as an activity for the kids that come to PAL to help train and expose them to the game of tennis. Is that bad? Okay, well then we need to get parking plan. This is going to be a reason for them to come fix it. Well, look at that. Well, now they'll have an incentive. They're going to get it done before we start this summer camp. I think was our hope. Well, we'll have to reach out to someone and get that done. I didn't realize it was in a condition that was that poor. I was at the playground recently. It's okay. Well, just one moment. So we'll have we're exploring the partnership with the PAL program since we'll have a captive audience of youth over the summertime as one of the activities, and they would provide equipment and instruction. This is JTCC. It's a organization that's in College Park, Maryland. And one of the alumni of the program is Francis Tiafo, who actually went to the semifinals at the US Open. And the mission of the organization is tennis for everyone. And the program primarily helps young people develop a path to college scholarships. In DC, yeah. She came out of DC with Mayor Fenty, and she is rising up the ranks and doing very, very well. So hopefully we have a superstar or someone that benefits either from college or professional development in Forest Heights. Thank you, Council President McDonald.
I had a quick question about the bike trail. What's the status?
The status is it's still in process. It's not done yet. But as we get to word completion, we'll bring National Park Service in. Yeah.
So we're not looking for summer.
Well, look, let's take a note and I'll reach back out to them. We'll have our team reach back out to them this week. That's another place we can push. We have engaged Congressman Ivey's office. That's how the project got moving in the first place after a lot of years of delays. As soon as we reached out to his office, they had a plan and a draft for the bridge. So we'll reach back out to them and see if they can push. Thank you, Council President McDonald. Councilmember Noble.
I have one last thing. I went to the Greater Oxon Hill CDC fundraiser, and there we had some discussion about things around the town and how they can get more involved, or how we can maybe get some funding to do things that serve the whole community. So we have another meeting scheduled on this Thursday. So the fundraiser was very active, some residents as well as business donors. So it was a great event.
Councilmember Kennedy.
So we have heard that we have several different people that do grants for us. Is it any way possible that we can look at one or two grants that only the 501c3 designated entities can go after and possibly help them with one or two grants, which will eventually help the residents in town?
Yes, and to clarify, I'm the only one that actually writes the grants for the town. The other places find them and suggest them. But I have sent the CDC two separate grants for the 501c3 from the county, which they would be eligible for, and encourage them to apply, and said that I would be more than happy to assist in any of the wording or anything that they need, or possible support letters in order to get that funding from the county. And any other 501c3s that need partners, I'm more than happy as long as the mayor and council approve of that partnership.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. All right. Next, we'll move into new business. And we have just a few updates. First, the National Review Stormwater Management Community Meeting the date is shifted. So to allow for more time and information to go out to residents, and also for the engineer that's coming to bring more detailed information, it'll be on Saturday, June 22nd at 10 a.m. here in the municipal building. And Mr. Best and I met with the National Review team a few days ago. And so we believe it'll be a comprehensive report. We're also going to ask them to attend the meeting that's earlier that week, so that they can brief council. Council can get kind of a primer, so that the meeting can be more focused on community and them asking questions as well as getting an update. Well, we may need to just shift the time potentially. Can we do that? Because we engaged their engineers and it wasn't on the schedule yet. So can we shift the time for the Green Team meeting by chance? Okay. We appreciate you being proactive to schedule further out. I didn't see it on the calendar at the time we agreed to choose that as the date. Okay. We'll get our new TA on and plan out quarterly calendar and make sure we're all aligned. It's going to be here. Yes.
How long?
Well, it's set for, I believe, up to 2 hours if that time is needed at 10 a.m. How long is do you want to do your meeting first?
Yes.
At 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
On June 26th. Because we have to have it.
All right. So we need to shift that. Next, absolutely, Council President. Next is a letter to the town residents updating them about the tax matter. We covered this a little briefly before. We'll just be sending out a letter for council to be aware of and review. We're going to notify residents of how we're rectifying the tax issue, what it was, and that primary owner occupant residents will not be sent a supplemental tax bill, but commercial property owners and rented residential owners will. And then lastly, we have an interesting proposition for June. The third Wednesday meeting falls on Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday. It's also a holiday where our staff will be off. So we need to open and close that meeting. I propose we do that virtually and then hold the in-person meeting the next day on June 20th. Is council, does council agree with that as a plan for dealing with our meeting in June, the third Wednesday meeting? We could hold it June 20th, Thursday, 8 p.m. here in the town building. No, we don't need to make a motion. Is anyone opposed? I guess is what I'm asking.
Why don't we take care of the needs of the business on that Monday? That way you don't have to have a open and close and then have a meeting the next day.
Say that again, Councilmember Kennedy.
Why don't we just take care of the needs of the business on the first Monday as opposed to the third Wednesday? That way we do not have to just open and close the meeting just to have another meeting the next day. If the needs of the business are taken care of the first Monday, then we're going to open and close the meeting.
Well, one of the reasons I offered the change is because I won't be here for the first Monday meeting for June. And so that was one reason. Just one moment. So I offered that date as one of the ways to help us take care of it. So I know we have to have a meeting on the third Wednesday because it's charter mandated unless we change that beforehand. So that's why it's proposed to be an open and close, and then to give us time to consider what needs to be discussed at the June 20th meeting. And we normally don't have this issue because we don't normally have holidays that are on a Wednesday. They normally are observed on a different day. So I think this may be the first time we're encountering it. Mr. O'Connor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and just to keep it on the mayor and council's mind that the annexation for the Oxon Hill property will be on the agenda in June, and that requires two readings to be approved and start that process. So we would need the second meeting if it makes it to that first meeting. For the MGM Oxon Hill property. The annexation. So just scheduling, just to keep that on your radar, and I'll work with the new town administrator to coordinate that and council and keep you updated.
And this is the office building at MGM?
Correct.
It's the one that's next to
The
I
old
don't know
school.
how Tanger Outlet.
Yeah, it's the old school property. And then at that second meeting under new business, I'll possibly have the 210 annexation. That'll be for your review as well. So June's going to be a little bit of a busy with annexations, but like I said, I'll work with the new town administrator to see what we need to do to hash that out for you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Okay, so just to go over the date one more time, we've got Thursday, June 20th. We could do it before 8 p.m. Do we want to do it earlier? Just leave it at 8. Well, we're going to open and close the meeting on Wednesday at 8, on the Thursday meeting.
Well, you could do it at
7? 7 on Thursday? Okay, let's do 7 on Thursday, June 20th. We'll do 7 p.m. All right. Is there any other new business? Councilmember Noble.
Not new business, but always business. Don't forget to vote.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Election Day is May 14th. Early voting is open until Thursday at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. And we encourage residents to vote, make your voice heard. Well, if there's no other actually, there is one more item. My apologies. We need to move into the next public period. Next, we'll have public period. And public period is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period, namely Mr. Reginald Bagley?
If I could, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me a minute to say thank you for your very careful consideration of my candidacy, for the interview process, for everything that's gone forward. So I thank you, council, for all that you've done. And thank you, majority of the council, for your vote of confidence in me to move forward as your town administrator. It's my pleasure to embark upon this journey with you together. I look forward to, in the next several days, giving you my first memo, just stating some observations and some things that I'd like to share with you in terms of how I intend to approach the position as the town administrator. I've been in conversations with the mayor about those things, so I look forward to giving those to you also. Lastly, I would like to point out something that Mr. Dool mentioned, that several of his staff has been to Narcan training. Several of you all have been. That will be one of my initial things that I will ask this council to consider hosting that training down here in this part of the county. As of now, it's not available, and it is badly needed in several different parts of the county. So I would like to bring it down here, and I would like to talk to you about it. So it is still going on this week. That's one of my projects in Hyattsville, but it's still going on this week for Thursday and Friday. But I look forward to actually bringing it here because it's, as I said, it is needed. So once again, thank you very much. And there was one last acknowledgement I think you wanted to make.
Yes, there is one. Thank you, Mr. Bagley. This is Municipal Clerks Week.
It sure is.
And we just want to recognize and thank our clerk, Mrs. Shirlita Hawkins, who is more than a clerk. I called her the glue during the 75th anniversary events, the glue that holds the town together and is connected to everything that happens and contributes to much of it. Thank you for all the work that you've done, especially the last few months, because you sacrificed with your family and your own time to help us out. We really appreciate it, and your dedication is unmatched. It really is. And the contributions you've made to this town over the last 17 years will not be forgotten. So thank you so much, both for what you do day to day and for how you go above and beyond. I think there's one more thing. Uh-oh, Councilmember Noble.
This is it.
Don't-
If I were mayor contest, for the fourth graders, the governor, presented 11 winners with awards for writing contests, and there were over 1,300 essays from 100 schools. So my project for next year is to solicit, to go into the schools where those fourth graders are, because we want some representation from this end of the state and from the Forest Heights area. So we're going to get them up and ready and running. If I were mayor, we're going to knock out all those other counties and places. So I hope that we'll all get on board for that for next year for the contest.
Well, this is a can of worms. It's a good one though. So Councilmember Noble, I'm so glad you brought that up. I was with you all, you and Councilmember Little, at Flintstone Elementary on Career Day. And what we did is we held an election in all the classes that I went to. We had 3 candidates from the volunteers from the class come up and give their speech about why we should vote for them for mayor. And then in each class, the class voted and we elected 4 mayors. And when I was riding around on Friday, I actually got stopped by some kids, and one of them was one of the mayors who got elected, Mayor Ramel. I'm not sure which street he lives on, but anyway, we have elected some. So we have some little mayors running around in town, and hopefully next year we'll get them to write and submit their essays. And so great idea. All right. Well, look, we've done great work. The time is now 9:43 and this meeting is adjourned.